Attention, unidentified space vessel. Be warned. This slave world and its inhabitants belong to the Ur-Quan. I am Starbase Commander Talana of the slave planet Gaia. Your ship is not responding to standard hierarchy identification sequences. You are therefore classed as independent. And what? Is my monitor display correct? Is that a human commanding that vessel? Who are you?
I am Captain Zelnick of the flagship Vindic. Well, I could just introduce myself, or I could say some really nice things. We're the ethics police. Justify that costume immediately. Nah. Yeah, I'll do this one. We're the ethics police. Justify that costume immediately.
Huh? What are you talking about? This is the uniform of a Syreen Commander. The climate aboard this starbase is maintained at a constant 22 degrees centigrade. What are we supposed to wear in here? Parka? But you haven't answered my question fully. Why are you here? Where are you from? Has the slave shield been lifted from Earth? Are the Ur-Quan finally defeated? Simply put, Captain, what do you want from us?
To be honest, we need your help to destroy the Ur-Quan.
Look, Captain, I like you. Even though you're an obnoxious human, I like you. In another time, we might have become good friends. Perhaps more. But that's a fantasy, and my job is dealing with reality. We're not going to do anything to jeopardize what we've got here. We've come too far, lost too much, to ever risk losing Gaia, our new home. Don't get all judgmental on me, Captain. You don't know what we've been through.
So, Commander Talana, what are you doing here?
When the Ur-Quan conquered us over 20 years ago, I was only a young girl living in Habitat 31. My older sister Diani was a starship officer in the Space Patrol. She was part of the final defense at Raynet. She didn't make it back. When the Ur-Quan caught us in open space, we all thought we were going to die. But then, instead of killing us, the Ur-Quan offered us a choice. We could join the ranks of their combat thralls, or we could be slave-shielded in our homeworld. Like the people of Earth, we chose peace. We became fallow slaves. When the Ur-Quan told us to return to our homeworld, we explained that we had none. Ur-Quan Master 9 explained that they had encountered this situation before, and if we would provide them with a list of our requirements, they would use their extensive astronomical data stores to find a planet for us. So we told them about Syra, about the color of its sky, about the abundant life forms, about the fertility of the soil and seas. Less than an hour later, we received a terse message from Master 9. We were to proceed to these coordinates and disembark. This was to be our new home. But our new world, Gaia, was everything we described. We'd been searching for a home planet for 75 years, and in the end, it was our enemies who gave one to us. I grew up on a small island off the main continent, and like all of my people, we lived each day under the sick, red glow of the slave shield. When the Ur-Quan arrived 7 years ago to refurbish and recrew the starbase, I was selected as the new commander.
So what happened to you at the end of the war?
When we first met your people, we'd been wandering through the stars for almost 75 years, ever since the death of Syra, our home planet. We joined your alliance, and I use the word joined loosely, because we had no other choice. The Fox were raiding our slow habitat columns, and we had nowhere else to go. We fought for survival, Captain, nothing more. When your people on Earth were defeated, the Alliance just plain fell apart. The Yehat and Shofixi retreated to their native stars and didn't want us to follow. The Ariru, those creepy little weasels, just plain bugged out, vanished leaving us alone, with nowhere to go, smack in the path of the oncoming Ur-Quan armada. What were we supposed to do? Fight? 2/3 of our habitat fleet was unarmed. Many aren't even superluminal. We were going to be annihilated if we resisted, and we knew it. When the Ur-Quan surrounded us and started giving orders that all ended with, "or die," we took them at face value. We obeyed. In exchange, they gave us Gaia, the planet below. It's a beautiful world, Captain. I wish I could show it to you. So don't misunderstand me. We love our freedom as much as anybody else, but we've got a good life here, and we don't want to lose it.
So if you do love freedom and hate the Ur-Quan, why won't you help us?
Like I said before, Captain, we would like to help, but we are unwilling to risk losing Gaia. Unless you can find a much more compelling reason for us to get involved. You're on your own.
Okay, so that gives me a bit of a quest to find that much more compelling reason. Come on now, isn't that outfit a bit absurd? Knife included?
Maybe some other time, Captain. I can show you the hidden functionality of my uniform. Knife included.
That would be nice. So, what happens to the males of your species?
When Syra was destroyed, the only people who survived were in orbit, and most of them were members of our newly established, mostly female space patrol. From their ships, their orbital platforms, and their lunar outposts, they watched Syra die. Within 3 days after the cataclysm began, the surface temperature of Syra had risen by almost 75 degrees to above the boiling point of water. It became clear that Syra, our paradise, our Eden, was gone. The survivors spent years in orbit. They made a few missions to the surface and actually found a handful of survivors. But their main activity was to make preparations for departure. The Space Patrol fitted makeshift drive units to anything that could hold air. Orbital factories, research pods, even hotels. When the fleet was ready, they left orbit and never looked back. The final population of our species was less than 10,000, with only 500 males, but they were the best and the brightest. For the next 75 years, our people wandered at sublight speed through the stars, looking for a new home.
So, would you tell me a bit about your people and your culture?
Our species are almost identical, almost too close a match to be just a coincidence. Our bodies are very similar, Captain. Except for certain parts. Our cultural development is also mostly parallel. Like you Earthlings, we evolved a society from primitive tribes whose main function were to protect themselves from the large reptiles native to our old world. The main difference between our two sets of cultures, the split in the paths of our development, occurred in what would have been your prehistory, say 5000 BCE. In your world, the agricultural communities were conquered by the more primitive, but also more aggressive migratory herding peoples. This led to a particular kind of sexual and political dominance structure which pervaded almost all of your Earth cultures until the early 21st century. On Syra, our only primitive migratory tribes were confined to our mountainous regions. Their herd beasts, the Waimar, did not do well in the agricultural basins and plains. The two cultures were isolated until much later, when the technological superiority of the farmers curtailed any major conflict.
What was Syra like?
It was our paradise, Captain, our Eden. Earth is the only world we know of whose variety and richness of life even comes close to Syra. Again, like so many other things about our two species, Our worlds were very much the same, at least before you began encasing yours in concrete and plastic. Syra's gravity was a bit lighter than Earth's, and its day was 50% longer. Our diurnal cycle is therefore different from yours. We spend 20 hours awake, followed by 10 hours horizontal.
And what happened to Syra?
This subject is very difficult for us, Captain, but I will try to recount those sad days. Like your solar system, ours had a large population of comets and asteroids. Large meteor impacts, though rare, were not unheard of on our planet. So it was not a total shock when an asteroid penetrated our atmosphere and hit the surface. What was odd was that unlike most other meteors, this one was not pulverized on impact. It penetrated the crust and indeed went all the way through to the mantle, causing a supervolcano. The earthquakes caused by the impact were severe. The magma pumped out of the caldera wreaked significant damage on the nearby terrain, but within a few weeks it had cooled, forming a solid rock bandage over the wound. Within a few months, we had cleaned up the mess. The caldera was calming down nicely, and things were pretty much back to normal. Then, just over a year after the impact, all hell broke loose on the surface of Syra. Huge calderas were opening all over, not just around the meteor impact, but everywhere. The scope of the disaster is impossible to imagine. Entire cities sliding into oceans of molten lava, kilometer-wide sections of land pulverized by a cataclysmic explosion, and clouds of poison gas and superheated steam created a death shroud around Syra.
That really doesn't sound good. Talana, have you ever heard of the Deep Children?
Yes, I think so. Aren't they part of the Mycon religion somehow? We have recordings of Mycon hyperwave transmissions from the war. Pretty weird stuff. The Mycons just kind of rambled, never making much sense. They talked a lot about deep children and spears of light, but we couldn't ever understand what they were talking about.
What if I told you that Mycon Deep Children shatter planet crusts, like your Syra?
What? What did you say? Human, you had better not be joking. Syra is not a subject for Earth humor. Now what do you mean, shattered planet crusts? How? That is what happened to Syra, yes, but we presumed it was a natural cataclysm, a meteor. Do you have proof that it was something else? These deep children?
Well, I don't have any yet, but I am certain that the Mycons destroyed your world.
Captain, if what you say is true, it would turn my world upside down. You have no sorrow to match what each of us Syreen feels every day of our lives when we remember what we have lost. Syra, our Eden, the very idea that the Mycons or any alien race may have been responsible for Syra's destruction fills me with burning rage. If it were true, none of us here would rest until we had avenged ourselves on the perpetrators. We would find some way to leave this starbase, locate our starships, and hunt down the evil monsters. Captain, if you ever gather proof of what you say, you must inform us immediately. But until then, do not mention the subject again. It is too painful.
Well, it really would have been nice if you'd told me where Syra was, and I could go there and look for some proof, but guess I'll have to find it some other way. Don't you ever get lonely?
Don't worry about us, Captain. We make out all right.
Goodbye, Commander Talana. I will be back.
Until then, Earthling.